Okay, hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Brad Gottschall. I am the Lower Paxton Township Manager, and in typical fashion, I will give a brief summary of tonight's board meeting, particularly for the benefit of those watching at home this evening. After approving of previous meeting minutes and receiving various comments and reports, under new business, the board will take action to award a contract for maintenance and emergency repairs to the wastewater and stormwater collection systems. Next, the board will consider Resolution 20-17, authorizing signatory authority to township staff for the submission of permit applications and fees through DEP's e-permitting system. After this, action on application for payment number 1 from Pensy Supply for the 2020 Lower Paxton Township paving project will be considered. Still in new business, the board will take action on change order number 3 to the Linglestown Fire Company KME ladder tower contract, take action assigning the 2020 date for trick-or-treat festivities, and approve of certain adjustments to the 2020 township budgets due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And finally, before moving to pay township and authority bills, the board will take action on improvement guarantees. And with all that said, the board members are seated and prepared to conduct business. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gottschall. Call this meeting of the Lower Paxton Township Board of Supervisors to order. I would like to ask everyone to please stand, and Supervisor Judd will lead us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll now entertain a motion for approval of the minutes of the May 19th, 2020 Board of Supervisors meeting. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move we approve the minutes of 5/19/2020 minutes as they have been prepared and circulated.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
This brings us to the time on the agenda where we have public comment. Before we have public comment, I would like to announce the Board of Supervisors met prior to this meeting in executive session to receive information from staff, and we'll be resuming that meeting following this meeting. With that, does anyone have any item they would like to discuss that is not on the agenda this evening? Welcome back. It's been a while.
It has been a while. The last time I stood here, we were in the middle of winter, the first week of March.
Wow.
And we were talking about this special meeting we we're going to have about the roads of Lower Paxton Township. I never expected that we wouldn't see you again until the middle of summer.
Neither did we.
Amazing how time goes. I want to thank the board very much for allowing us permission to have our very first comeback meeting at Heroes Grove. As we look around this room, we would have a hard time fitting our regular meeting into this room, and it would probably be months before we'd be able to attend again. This meeting we're going to make real special. It's July 2nd, 2 days before the 4th, and we're going to travel back in time till 1776. And we're going to have John Harris Jr. ride in on his horse Dexter into Heroes Grove and tell us what it was like to live in Paxton Township and Harris Ferry during the Revolutionary War. He also may have a friend with him who some of you have heard of, a gentleman from Philadelphia named Ben Franklin. We're not sure yet because of all that's going on whether he's going to be able to make it, but John Harris will definitely be there, and he will be a living history person. Otherwise, everything will start in the meeting back in 1776 and move forward. So we hope your audience will come out to Heroes Grove. We will have safe distance for everybody, at least 6 feet apart. Heroes Grove can hold plenty of people. It's out in the open. We'll have a sound system, and we hope it will be a very enjoyable evening in the middle of summer. It will be July 2nd. It's going to be a normal meeting time of 6:30, and will probably last about an hour. And again, I want to thank Parks and Rec, thanks Heroes Grove, and especially thank you women and gentlemen for helping us make this a success. Thank you.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
rain or shine?
We don't have the roof over Heroes Grove yet.
Yeah.
We probably, it will depend on the weather. We have talked to a gentleman who works at Channel 21, who is a very good friend of the townships, and he has promised us perfect weather.
Okay.
And we know how his promises are.
Yeah. He's got at least a 50-50 record.
He has a very good record, yes. Except for the Chris Kendall Mart.
We won't discuss that.
No. We'll wait for the one this year.
This year it's going to be a perfect, crisp December day.
Yes. We have it planned. Thank you again. Any other questions? Thank you. I hope to see all of you.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it. Any other public comment on an item not on the agenda this evening? Seeing none, we will move to chairman and board member comments. Board members, any comments this evening?
Well, we haven't done anything for 3 months, but we've had 2 things in the past couple days. Supervisor Henry and Zumis and myself attended the American Legion flag raising on Sunday, which was absolutely awesome. And thank you so much to the American Legion Post 272 for participating in that. And this evening at 5 o'clock, we, all of us, all the supervisors, we met at the Paxtonia Firehouse, and they put their new fire truck into service last night. So we were out there to see it this evening, and it's a beautiful truck.
And the Flag Day ceremony, Mr. Minsker, thanks to you and the Linglestown Civic Association for your role in that as well. And Brad, please pass along our appreciation to the Public Works Department that did a phenomenal job cleaning out the weeds and remulching the circle and areas around it. It looked great. So, and it was a beautiful sunny Sunday morning. Any other board member comments? Okay, hearing none.
You know what, Mr. Henry, maybe we should remind people next Tuesday night, is it at 6:30, Mr.
Yes.
Gottschall? At the Centennial Acres Park off of Colonial Road, the Shade Tree Commission will be honoring Norman LaCrosse with planting a tree. So that'll be at 6:30 next Tuesday night at Centennial Acres Park.
We also, I guess we will have a July meeting before, but big announcement, the Linglestown Fire Company has decided that the fireworks, July 3rd, the Linglestown fireworks will go forward. So we'll be able to get that community event back to normal as well. Mr. Manager, any report from you?
Yes, sir. I have 2 items for this evening, if I may. One I will read verbatim, which is from PennDOT with regard to the Nye and Devonshire Heights Road. They wanted to provide, it had been requested that they provide an update to that project. Unfortunately, the PennDOT representative was not able to make it tonight, but he did send an update as of this moment. So I will read that for your edification, and particularly for those who live in that area. It'd be nice to hear an update as well. So the Nye Road project is currently in Stage 2A construction. The Devonshire Heights Road detour is in effect, which has allowed the installation of the box culvert extension along the utility relocations for water, sewer, and gas. The contractor is scheduled to install the Nye Road detour on June 22nd, 2020, which is anticipated to be in effect for the full 110-day allowable calendar duration. All advanced notifications have been issued, and message boards and static signs have been placed as part of their required 14-day notification. This detour will allow for the installation of the 2 elliptical concrete pipes, continued utility relocation efforts, and overall roadway reconstruction and new alignment of Nye Road with Devonshire Heights Road. Both detours are scheduled to be removed on October 10th based on the maximum allowable timeframes. There is anticipated to be remaining contract work such as seeding, topsoil, and miscellaneous construction activities. If any remaining work requires a single lane traffic restriction, it will be performed within the allowable timeframes for the contract. And then based on delays until this point, the project completion date is May 2021. And with that,
Mr. Gutschall, the call that I
Yes.
had gotten last week, did the state say where it was going to be closed from? Like, is it going to be closed at Springford Manor? Is it going to be closed at Hunter's Run? I mean, that's the question that I had last week from a resident.
if you would allow me just to pull up the detour map here. I can get that. Let's see. Looks like
It just happened. We have a bid
Nice.
coming up. That's kicking me out.
You know, if you could find that out and then
Sure.
just give me a call and I will contact the resident.
Sure, I will.
Okay.
It's
So
a little
they wanna
difficult to read on the
know-
map, but
They want to know, you know, is it at Taunton? Is it down at M Street? So we need to know where it's being blocked off
Mhm.
so the residents know how far they can go
sure,
to get into the different areas.
sure,
Okay.
sure. You want?
And Brad, we just need to reiterate what we discussed earlier about the heavy trucks on
Sure.
Heatherfield Way going both directions every 10 minutes. It's too much weight. I think it's doing damage to the grounds. And they need to start using Nye Road instead of neighborhoods. And since our director's here, the speeding on Heatherfield Way, where people are coming off Nye and they're coming down Heatherfield Way and they're not using the detour as directed. I was told that people were exceeding 50 miles an hour in a 25-mile-an-hour zone where people were out there trying to stop them, putting their hands up, screaming at them. And we either need to get a sign out there with one of those flashing lights on it to try and slow people down, because they wanted a stop sign. And I explained to them that stop signs aren't designed to control the speed of traffic, but we can do something with enforcement and education. So I would appreciate that.
Enforcement can be education.
Yeah, really.
And I'll second what Supervisor Zuma said, and Brad, I did mention this to you. The problem with those heavy construction vehicles in the Heatherfield neighborhood, we have the same issue on the west side with heavy construction vehicles using Old Farm, Ammon, Spring Lake. And again, all those roads have been, it's been 22 years since they've been resurfaced. We probably could get another 4 or 5 years out of them, but these trucks are just beating them, multiple trucks per hour. The state should keep their heavy trucks on their roads. Either that or provide us with the funds to resurface these roads when it's done, because they're going to need it.
Sure. We'll make sure to follow up on that as well. If there are no other questions on that particular item, I'll move to my next. And again, it's an ongoing theme for the township, which is that of the census. I want to keep hammering home the point of how important it is to continue to keep an eye on the census as it goes through the process. So with that, as of June 10th, the township's self-response rate, and again, that's the rate at which our residents are completing their census obligations on their own through their phone or the website or a paper form, is 72.8%. It is an increase over the previous week. That keeps us in the top 10 of municipalities across the county for such rates. West Hanover again remaining at number 1. They don't seem to be giving up that perch very easily, so I think they'll remain there. And again, just to give some context, the self-response rate for Lower Paxton Township in 2010 was 77.3. So we're slowly inching our way to that, and hopefully we make it. But with that, that is all I have this evening, and
Okay. Thank you, sir.
thank you.
We have no items under old business, so we will move on to new business. And the first item is we need to take action on bids for the maintenance and emergency repairs to the wastewater and stormwater collection systems. And I see Mr. Weaver is with us. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Lower Paxton Township opened bids on Friday, June 12th at 10 o'clock, and these specs, again, were prepared in conformance with our township policies. GHD actually prepared the specifications. This construction work typically is emergency repairs and also any maintenance that comes up for the sewer system. So this contract, we've been having this contract, I've been here 24 years. We've had it ever since I've been here, and I think a few years before that. We don't have the equipment to do emergency repairs to the sewer system, to the pump station force mains that are deep. So we typically have a maintenance and emergency repairs contract. We had the low bid received from Dolly Construction in the amount of $757,032. The second low bidder was some EK Services, $1,255,885.98. And the engineer's estimate with a contingency was $800,000. So staff is pleased that the bid came in under the engineer's estimate with the contingency. All the bidders acknowledge the addendum. All the qualifications are complete. Non-collusion affidavit documents complete. We did receive all of the contract original documents via UPS. Steve and I have looked at the bid bond. The bid bond has been determined to be satisfactory. So at this point, staff is recommending that the board consider awarding the contract to Dolly Construction in the amount of $757,032. And I'll be happy to answer any questions the board has.
Mr. Weaver, it's a yearly clean out, right? They do it once a year?
This is a annual contract with an option to renew if both parties are happy. It's just any sewer that basically breaks and we have a backup or an overflow, or most times a property owner calls and says, my toilet's running slow. So that sort of thing. It's really unknown maintenance. So we typically don't get a lot of bidders because the bidders like to have drawings with a defined set of work. So we could do $25,000 of work, or we could do the full amount, $700. It really depends on what happens throughout the next year. Now, we did add in stormwater this year. I did want to mention that. Now that the authority owns the stormwater collection system, we talked to Jeff and Jason at HRG, and they felt since we are bidding sewer maintenance items, it's good to have stormwater in there as well. There are large culverts in the township that could fail. We actually had one recently on Lighters Lane that we're looking at. So we have bid items in there, and then Jeff and Jason can decide if there's any flooding issues or failures with the stormwater system that they can't perform internally, then they could use this contract as well.
So the bid's higher than what it was last year because you added the stormwater?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep. Correct.
thank you.
And we anticipate this to be, again, 2 years. And that's the other reason it's a little higher as well. It's kind of assuming that we're going to extend it for 1 year. So right now we have $200,000 in the sewer budget and $275 under stormwater. So we have $475 for this year. And then next year, we would, propose the board, the authority adopt the same budget as well. So we have funds available for the contract as well.
Thank you.
We've used Dolly before, so I know that we're satisfied with their work in the past. So I know that that's why you're making recommendation for
Yes.
them. And the other questions you've already answered. You anticipated all the bond issues. Everything's been reviewed by you and Steve, and everything is copacetic.
Yep.
So I'm satisfied.
Anybody else? Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move we award the bid for the maintenance emergency repairs to the wastewater and the stormwater collection systems to Doley Construction Corporation in the amount of $757,032 as recommended by Mr. Weaver.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second it.
Moved and seconded. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have a memo. Wait a minute. Oh, here we go.
2017.
Let me go back here to the agenda. And this is bid review, emergency contract. Do we need to take anything further, or was that incorporated?
That was just the GHD.
That was all part
Yeah,
of the same
that was part of the
motion.
same package,
So
yeah.
there's not a need for a second motion there. So we can move on to 9B. Okay, 9B would be action on resolution 2020-17. This would authorize the designation of signature authority to township staff for the submission of permit applications and fees to the Pennsylvania DEP through their e-permitting system. Mr. Godshall. Short resolution.
Yes, very short. It's very standard.
That's a lot of words to authorize you to sign a document.
That's a very good way of looking at it, yes. Essentially, with this, members of the board, from time to time, the township must make application for a Chapter 105 wetland and waterway obstruction and encroachment permit to comply with MS4 and other stormwater work. Essentially, anytime we're going into any waterway to do any type of work, we have to submit these types of applications to receive a permit. So the system is now online, and DEP requires that we have official authority to allow for a signee. So this resolution merely appoints that individual or individuals. So I'd be happy to answer any questions or anything that the board may have.
Mr. Gutschall, who is the designated signer?
The township manager or his.
I see it
or
says
her
township manager or
designee.
designated.
Right.
I just wondered if you had a representative designated yet.
That would probably be Ms. Smith.
I assume it was Mr. Weaver.
Oh, no.
Now, in the opening of the resolution says, whereas the PA, DEP, is that just a redundancy, or do we want it to read that way? The first.
Read again.
Whereas the PA, DEP.
Yes, that's should just be a typo. We can correct that.
You can never tell with bureaucracy,
Amen.
Never tell.
Amen. Any other questions? Is there a motion?
Certainly. Mr. Chairman, I'll move we approve Resolution 2020-17, which authorizes the designation of the signature authority to the township staff for the submission of permit applications and fees to PA DEP through PA DEPE's e-permitting system.
Could you repeat that?
It would have been much easier just to say Brad or his designee be allowed to sign
Yes.
official docs.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, item 9C, we need to take action on application for payment number 1 from Penzi Supply for the 2020 Lower Paxton Township Paving Department. And Mr. Godshall, this appears to be fairly straightforward.
Yes, sir. Before the board this evening is application for payment number 1 from HRG on behalf of the contractor Penzi Supply for the project. This application for payment is in the amount of $443,443 and has been reviewed and recommended by the engineer and staff. I'd be happy to attempt to answer any questions the board may have.
Brad, how many miles of road will that pave?
You knew that was going to happen,
Yeah.
right?
You knew that was coming.
I'd have to get back to you on that one.
Okay.
The price per mile varies
Yeah.
depending on what the conditions are. So.
Brad, just this is just a clarification. I think I know the answer, but I'll ask the question. Is the number correct?
The number is
443. Just want to make sure there's no typo in there.
no. The number
That
is
is right.
strangely
Okay.
correct. Yes.
It just seems odd. That doesn't occur very often.
Well, I think the reason for that is there's some retainage and things that were that's not the true cost of
Right.
the operation, but with all that calculation, it came out
And
that
remember,
way.
and this is payment number 1.
Correct.
Okay. Any questions? We are paving roads, so.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move we approve the application for payment number 1 from Pensy Supply for the 2020 Lower Paxton Township paving project in the amount of $443,443, as recommended by Jason Hines from HRG and staff.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any additional questions or
On
comments?
the agenda, it's not fixing it. You gotta
Hearing
go
none,
back.
all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Did you vote aye?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. We need to move now to item 9D, and it would appear we need to act on change order number 3 to the Linglestown Fire Company's KME Ladder Tower contract. And Director Koshiba is with us. Director, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This is a change order that will reflect the ability to have different shelving and mounting positions within the new ladder tower for the Linglestown Fire Company. As the order is being proceeding through the manufacturing line, they start to lay out the equipment. It becomes difficult in the early time to determine where that equipment is going to go, and as they are doing that now, they've felt the need to have this additional shelving and some mounting issues for the inside of the apparatus to the tune of $8,875, which I would add, when it comes to change orders on fire equipment, is relatively cheap.
Yes. Okay. Any questions?
2 questions. Adam,
Yes, sir.
the paper hard copy that we have on our desk, it is not any different than what we have on our system, is it? I didn't have a chance to do a comparison. I think it's the same, but I want to verify. I want to make certain that that I am okay. I don't want to sit and have to do line item by line item if it's the same. Okay, and then my second okay, so you're telling me it is the same.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Sir, sounds like I'm old. Adam, this is change order number 3. Could you just refresh our memories with regard to what change order number 1 was and what number 2 was in those costs?
Without having that in front of me, sir, I couldn't
Okay.
tell you. Sorry.
Then let me ask you, you'll get that information, I know.
I can't.
So my question is, are we going to see change order number 4?
I would highly doubt it. That this has moved pretty far through the line at this particular point. There are always possibilities of that coming up on something.
I
we
understand. I
didn't
don't
foresee.
like to be nickeled and dimed to death, though.
I agree.
And I'm sure you understand, and I'm sure you're in agreement with that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I would appreciate if you would provide the information to Brad that on Friday he could include what change orders 1 and 2 looked like and what their costs were, please.
I will do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Director, when are we anticipating taking delivery on this truck?
Unfortunately, the situation with COVID-19 has pushed it relatively down the line, so to speak. I would say the early estimates prior to that, we were thinking August, September timeframe, probably looking more towards November at this point.
Okay.
Well, it's still not bad.
Yes.
Considering the situation we find ourselves, it's still not bad.
It's not. They were, unfortunately, KME was hit pretty hard in their plant in that particular portion of the state with the COVID-19 cases. So you will also be seeing, I believe, the Tower 33 ladder truck should be relatively on time, as Seagrave was not affected in Wisconsin.
Okay. Good.
So the 3 trucks that we're replacing, they'll all be sold?
They are, and the Paxtonia rescue engine that was replaced, and you took a look at a photograph with tonight, is the older one has been placed for sale.
Okay.
Very good. Project's moving along nicely.
Yes.
Any other questions? Okay, is there a motion then on the change order?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move we approve change order number 3 to the Linglestown Fire Company KME ladder and tower contract in the amount of $8,875 as presented and recommended by Mr. Kashiba.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And now we move to the much anticipated action to assign the date of the 2020 trick or treat. And we have had multiple discussions about this. In terms of public comment, we have received 4 emails. One email, which I read last week, favored having trick or treat on the 31st on Halloween. This week, 3 emails came in suggesting they would prefer to have it on the Thursday before the 31st. So we've had a total of 4 comments.
Well, let me go out on a broomstick on this one.
That was bad.
Did you take all week thinking that
No,
out?
I just came up with
Oh,
it.
I'm impressed.
We had a spirited discussion in 2019 concerning the date. And I know you had a few emails. And last year we had hundreds of people respond to keep it on the 31st. I'm thinking those hundreds of people are satisfied with the decision that we made last time, which is the reason why they haven't stepped forward this time, because they think it's the same. Having said that, I think it should remain the same. I know we discussed with the director last week about the additional overtime that it would take to put some extra officers on duty, and he said he could handle that. I think keeping it the same, we don't have to worry about whether it's on a Saturday or a Sunday or a leap year or anything else for people's planning purposes. It's on Halloween. It'll always be Halloween. And I think that we should just make it that way from this time forward, and we won't have to bring this up every year. And we have people that have come into this township over the last 40-some years that I've been here, coming from other parts of the state, other communities, other cities, and they can't even believe that we did something like that because things have changed. So to eliminate confusion, my recommendation is to have it on Halloween the 31st.
Can I ask the director, did you have your police chiefs meeting since last Tuesday?
No, ma'am, we did not.
Okay. All right.
I'm sorry, what was the question? I missed the...
I asked him if they had the police chiefs meeting since we
Oh.
met last Tuesday.
Okay.
I'm going to go the other way. I've lived here for 63 years all my life, and up until last year, we always had it.
3.
You told me you were only 47.
You said 60. Oh,
We always
you
had
just
it
disclosed.
the fourth Thursday. And when the director said last week that he could provide the police coverage, and we had just then decided to eliminate $980,000 in our budget, which we're going to be approving in the next couple agenda items. He also said that it would cost approximately an additional $5,000 to have that police for the Halloween on October 31st. So I will be opposing it, and I would like to keep it on Thursday.
Any other comments?
Sure, why not?
Go right ahead.
Yeah.
Now's your time.
For me, I don't have children that age, so it's not as important to me, other than 2 things. What is it that our community wants who have children of that age who participate? And number 2, what is our police force able to implement in a safe fashion? Mr. Kashiba said he will support whatever our decision is here. So I have no problem.
Mr.
With the
Judd.
third.
I guess, yeah, we talked about this quite a bit last year, and it's okay. All the issues don't have to be life or death, which we certainly had enough of those. I think probably a lot of folks, maybe the majority, would just say do it on Halloween, October 31st. This year, a little bit different. It falls on a Saturday. So we'll simply have to see what the experience is like for parents with kids. And we'll get feedback. And hopefully people enjoy it. So I would vote this year to hold it, trick or treat, on October 31st. And we'll see how people like it. If not, we can, if it's we get a strong push either way, we can always reconsider. It's how you do these things. But I think people were happy last year, and let's go for the 31st.
Well, my hope is that we're able to have trick or treat and have a normal holiday by the time October comes around, regardless of when we do it. And we'll keep people safe no matter what.
And I do hope that's true, that we are able to have it on the 31st. I mean, that we're able to have Halloween, period.
Yeah, hopefully kids will be able to go out and go door to door and just be kids.
Right. And that's the most important thing.
Okay, with that, would anybody care to make any other comments? Anybody care to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move that we establish October the 31st of 2020 as our trick-or-treat night.
So moved. Is there a second?
A second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Okay. So we will, on a 4-to-1 vote, have trick-or-treat on Halloween. We'll see how it goes. And as Supervisor Judd said, if things don't go well, we can always revisit, although I would agree with Supervisor Zumas that, once we decide something, it's best just to do that and not have it be a question every year. With that, we do have, as Supervisor Lindsay mentioned, we do have to approve adjustments to the 2020 budget. This as a result of anticipated significant declines in tax revenue due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So, Mr. Gottschall, would you like to, we did discuss this rather thoroughly at our workshop, but if you have anything further to add?
No, again, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I just to reiterate, I mean, we are, again, anticipating to see a market reduction in earned income and local service taxes, or the revenues on those taxes. And again, just to point out that the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics has indicated a 219% increase in Lower Paxton Township unemployment from the months of April to March, and that was moving in April at 4.3% to March's number. I'm sorry, the other way around. Obviously, March's number, unemployment, we were at 4.3%, and April we saw an increase up to 13.7%. Again, a 219% increase in that unemployment number. So again, we're not sure if that correlates on on a dollar for dollar increase or decrease to our earned income tax, but we shall see very soon where we are with those numbers. And again, working with department heads, we brought the board these budget adjustments reflecting a 12.5% reduction in earned income, which is what we are anticipating the best we can for that revenue source, which equates to $980,000. Once adopted by the board this evening, those expenditure line items, as highlighted in the attached budget, will be reduced by the amounts shown, and the adjusted budget will be implemented as such throughout the remainder of the year. And I'd be happy to try to answer any questions at this time.
Well, congratulations to you and to the department heads for identifying these cuts, which I will point out is we're cutting bone and not fat here. And actually delaying some expenditures that we're going to have to deal with next year and the following year. Hopefully, once we get some actual revenue numbers, we won't need to cut further. Maybe if we have a real sharp bounce back in the economy, we might be able to restore some of these, but we'll certainly be keeping a month-by-month look at this picture. Because this the revenue loss from the pandemic is hitting everybody very, very hard.
Yes, it is.
Thank heavens we're not the Commonwealth. They appear to have about a $5 billion deficit going. So, could be worse. Any questions, board members, or comments? Okay, seeing none, would anybody care to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move we approve the adjustments to the 2020 township budget in the amount of $24,719,000 Oh, and 719, a repeat of numbers again. That's the first time that's happened.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. This takes us to subdivision and land development.
Mr. Chairman, excuse me.
Did I miss
and
something?
I'd want to say to Mr. Gottschall, good job. Go forth and find more.
Thanks.
Go forth and find more.
Everyone needs a challenge. Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Well, we will hopefully not have the need to find more, but we'll keep an eye on it. Subdivision and land development plans, we have 3 improvement guarantees, each of which appear to be fairly straightforward. Any questions or comments?
Could we please do them separately?
Oh, yes, I see, we can.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
So did you make them, do Shadebrook separately, please, then?
Sure. Mr. Chairman, I'll move we approve the improvement guarantees for 6206 Parkway East, which is new in an escrow, and Hearthside East, which is a release of the escrow, to be approved and recommended by staff.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
And now the Shadebrook motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move we approve the improvement guarantee for Shadebrook Phase 3, which is an extension with a letter of credit being provided,
So,
as recommended by staff.
so moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Abstaining for personal reasons.
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, and with that, that takes us to payment of bills for Lower Paxton Township and the Lower Paxton Township Authority. Madam Treasurer.
Yes, I make a motion that we pay the bills of Lower Paxton Township and Lower Paxton Township Authority.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Any additional announcements? Anybody think of anything in the course of the meeting? We will meet again, actually, on Tuesday, July 7th, at 7 p.m. For our next business meeting. So we have a 5 Tuesday month going here in June, so it'll be an extra week before we're together with a public meeting. So we'll wish everybody a festive and safe 4th of July Independence Day holiday, and see everybody on Tuesday, July 7th at 7 p.m. in this room. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Quick question for Leanne.
Quick question.
How did the drive-in experiment go? Is it this week?
It's this Friday.
This coming Friday.
Okay, the 19th.
Yeah, maybe you should
Gotcha.
announce that, Chairman.
Gotcha.
This coming Friday at the Colonial Park Mall, we're going to have a drive-in showing of Grease, correct? What time does that start? Parking lot opens at 8. Movie will begin at dusk. So members of the public are welcome to get in their cars and come over and experience a drive-in movie style event at the Colonial Park Mall on Friday. Anything else? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.